Is there a table which has not commented, which wishes to get my counting right? I'm going to take a risk. Is there anyone who has something they'd like to say that's important to today's activities? Doesn't feel that that point's been... I'm sorry, Ron Mosley, the head of AFM, just stood and gestured wildly for a brief moment.
3 minutes?
If we had a timer, we would allow you to talk, Ron. I just want to make sure that we get all of the information, all the questions, all the issues on the table. We're now going to gather this and collate it. It's very important that you put the papers back in or leave them to be collected. We have one more item of business. Before I do that, I'm going to say now, as I'll say after this item of business, thank you. You have been diligent, you have been engaged, and you have been patient. This is a long day, but this is important information, and it will be of great value to us. I will just sharpen that just a bit. One of the sets of decisions in front of us very soon is what to do with the Strategic Investment Fund. We are continuing to pursue that and to support that. The choices there will be greatly influenced by this conversation today, because that's about priorities. And that's how those funds will go to the campuses, is to support priorities. We are busy together, sometimes in smaller groups, sometimes as a system, on a number of initiatives. I had asked Trustee Tammy Grieshaber to come forward and just give us a quick thumbnail. And there's a handout, I believe, that will be provided, if that has not been provided already, in support of her comments. Tammy?
Now that we have just finished our roundtable discussions, I can fully appreciate Jim putting me at the very end with this piece, because it is a bit of a summation, and it feeds into, or it tells you that the university system is at least thinking along the lines, and your feedback feeds in very well to this. I'm just going to tell you very, very briefly about a few initiatives, groups that are already in existence within the university system, groups that faculty and staff are working on, some of the topics and the ideas that you have already come up with. One thing I do have to say before I say this, though, is I mentioned it to Chip Morrison. 20 years ago, when I was involved with the beginning of the Business Education Aspirations Compacts in this community, the 3 key things that the business community was saying at that point in time was that the skills that they needed were communication skills, organizational skills, and we called it critical thinking at that time. Hasn't changed, folks. They're the same skills that folks are looking for right now, and the same skills that everybody needs, regardless of what you're being taught. All right. The groups that are already working in some of these academic areas, and I think some of these people, most of these people are probably gone. One is led by the University of Maine at Augusta president, Allison Hughes Handley, and is focusing on STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math programs, system-wide. A group led by Alan Berger, Vice President of Academic Affairs and Provost at the University of Maine, is focused on world languages. Judy Sprouse, a professor of nursing at the University of Southern Maine, leads a group focusing on nursing programs. And a group led by Harold Daniel, the director of the Center for Tourism Research and Outreach, or CENTRO, is focused on academic programs related to Maine's tourism industry. And Jake Ward, the Assistant Vice President of Research, Economic Development, and Governmental Relationships at the University of Maine, leads a group focused on innovation engineering programs. So, we've got groups of people who are out there. As you get this information, look over it, see what's happening, and see how the ideas that you have given us already feed into some of this, and how we can expand on some of these. And don't be afraid to contact these folks if you have some things. So you have the status reports. We'll keep you apprised of how things move ahead. I am very excited about what has happened today and what is going to be happening in the future. On the behalf of the Board of Trustees, I thank you, I thank Jim and Rich for having the vision and the strength to put up with us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tammy. Many of those processes and projects come from new challenges, new directions. We are working on a variety of things. We'll be able to lift up and focus more effectively because of today's work. Let me just give you a quick thumbnail of what I think I heard. And then if you want to argue with me, clarify, send me an email. I'm always happy to communicate. Liberal arts is important to educate future leaders. Some of those broad-based educational outcomes are directly from the liberal arts. Interdisciplinary programs are increasingly important. There is a need for professional programs, nursing, financial services, engineers, and business, but that's not just what it's about. We need innovation engineering in some form system-wide. I think I heard a lot of people, that's what Doug Hall talks about. Maine will need almost twice our current number of annual graduates. We'll have to double our outcome if we look at John Doerr's numbers over the next 10 years. We're going to explore those opportunities like some of the creative opportunities suggested, 3-year degree options, online programs, expansion of distance education, increased retention and advising, transfer students, financial aid, outreach to K-12, outreach to community colleges, building a community of higher education, building a public agenda, and creating a strong sense of support across the state for the work that we do. Because the work that the University of Maine System does, and it does it in partnership with the community colleges, it does it in partnership with Maine Maritime and K-12, and adult education. It's at the heart of what the state needs and what's going to move the state forward. It is a challenging time for all of us in the university system. I greatly admire the courage and the hard work at the campus levels. I acknowledge that there is pain in places, but we're emerging from a very difficult time nationwide. But if we work together, we work at a common cause, remember what brought us to higher education in the first place, we will make progress, and in that we will be advancing Maine. Thank you very much for being here today.